I want to take a second and talk about burnout. If you haven't seen me before, any of my videos, I'm Lucy Cohen. I'm one of the co-founders of Mazuma. We were the first ever subscription accounting services and one of the largest providers of accounting services to small businesses in the UK. And I've been a business owner for 17 years and we've been scaling rapidly over that time. And the question of burnout is something that keeps coming up. And full disclosure, I am on the brink of burnout right now. I've been working incredibly hard. I've been prioritizing getting work done ahead of self-care. And do you know what? It is what it is. Right now, I am very focused on completing some tasks. I have some deadlines I have to meet. I know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And right now, I just have to cling on. Have I learned lessons from this? Absolutely. Have I been here before? Absolutely. I have been burned out several times over my career. And it's not cool, right? Just full disclosure here, I'm not wearing any sort of burnout like a badge of pride. I don't recommend it because you notice you're burned out when you're not sleeping properly or you're almost like passing out. For me anyway, you're almost like not falling asleep, but just kind of like passing out at the end of the day. And then maybe you're waking up in the night with things on your mind. Maybe you are getting ill, coughs, colds, sniffles, you can't seem to shake. You're feeling guilty about not making time to do things that you know are good for self-care, like eating properly and going to the gym, exercising, hobbies, personal pursuits. And you're just feeling on edge. You're probably feeling overstimulated and misunderstood and knowing that you're being maybe a little bit snappy with people around you. If you are there, and if you are in that place right now, I am not going to berate you and tell you that you shouldn't be there, because we all get there sometimes. And sometimes, especially if you're running a business, you just have to do what needs to be done. And that a lot of the time means sacrificing parts of yourself for your business. But we have to learn from it. We have to learn to try to avoid it in the future, to set some boundaries. And we need to do that when we're not in a burned out state. So in order to get yourself out of a burned out state, my biggest advice for you is to make your life outside of the thing that's burning you out. So maybe it's a big project in your career. Maybe it's you're chasing down a large contract. Maybe you're trying to get loads of work out the door for a specific time frame. I work in accountancy. January tax return year end is always a really, really busy period. So maybe you've got kind of deadlines up like that leave you kind of super burned out. Maybe you're studying and doing your exams at the same time as working, and you're just feeling like it's got on top of you and you're feeling burned out right now. I'm not going to berate you for it. I'm not going to tell you shouldn't be there. We can look at setting boundaries another time. But you can't do any of that whilst you're in a state of burnout. And when what you're doing is really complex and you need your entire brain to focus on that, what we need to do to get ourselves through this in one piece is to make everything else in our life as easy as possible. We want to take away decisions that take up bandwidth from the rest of our lives. So here's what I do, which massively helps. The first thing I do is I remove clothing choices. This sounds ridiculous, but it works. I remove clothing choices from my life. I wear black top, black trousers, black jacket all the time. If I'm at home, it's a leggings and a top. And if I'm going out, it might be a slightly version of that. That's it. That's all I do. It will always match. It will always look okay and presentable. And that is one less thing I have to think about. I remove that from my train of thought entirely. Steve Jobs very famously always wore the same thing, and it's because he wanted to use his brain for other things. Thinking about what to wear every morning was a waste of brain space. So look, and I love a bit of fashion, but right now I think it's really important that I just don't think about that. The next thing is looking at stuff in your life that you can delegate out. I'm really honest about the fact that I have help around my house. I have a cleaner, I have someone who comes and does the garden and weeds and stuff. I don't always do my laundry myself. I get that taken to a laundrette and done because I don't have time for it. Anything you can do to outsource things in your life that are taking up brain space and bandwidth, just do it, just get it done. Now, I know I come from a position of privilege in that I can afford those things. If you can't afford them, ask for help. For a limited period of time, ask somebody close to you to pick up the slack for you. And do it in such a way that you don't have to give them lists of things to do. They are the project manager of these things they're helping you with. They do the whole thing. And if they don't do it exactly to your liking, but it still gets done, you're just going to let that go. Are the clothes clean and put away? Great. Doesn't matter if they didn't use the right combo of detergent and softener or whatever. Doesn't matter for now. For now, you have better things to worry about. The next thing we're going to do is food. So when you are in a burned out state and you know you should be eating properly, but you are going around your kitchen like a small rat, nibbling at crisps and pickles and leftovers, and you're not eating a balanced diet, you're just making your burnout worse because you're not feeding your body with the nutrients it needs. And that tiredness, that adrenaline, that cortisol, that stress hormone cortisol, plus a diet that doesn't have enough nutrients to keep you functioning properly is going to mean you're much more likely to get ill. And we all know with the burnout thing, when we stop, we then get ill, right? That's when you get the cold. That's when you take a couple of weeks off over Christmas and you get the flu. We know that happens. You might not have time to do the whole Sunday food prep, put it in Tupperware pots and stick it in the fridge. Like me, you might not have the brain capacity to do that, to think about ingredients to put in a pot to make a thing. Just too much sometimes. We live in a world now where we have healthy meals accessible to us. And again, there is a pricing thing here. So you need to assess whether you are able to afford this. But there are some really affordable options, and lots of these kind of food prep companies have free trials and 50% off. I would recommend using these, even if you have to go down the route of, I won't name brands, but things like meal replacement services that will allow you to have a nutritious, vitamin-filled lunch at your desk and maybe have a decent breakfast as well. For a short period of time, they are going to get you through. You want to stock your cupboards up on things like protein bars, nuts, healthy snacks. You want to make sure you've got some form of decent warm meal to eat every day, if that's your thing. And have things that are easy to eat around you. Fruit. You haven't got to do any prep with fruit like an apple. You just pick it up and eat it. Make your life easier. Set yourself up for success. I'm not saying you're going to sit there and count your macros and count how many grams of protein and carbohydrate and fats you've had per day. You don't need to do that right now. You've got other things to worry about. Right now, you just need to focus on, am I nourishing my body enough to get me through this? And the last thing we're going to look at eliminating is too much mental load. So if you are the person in your household who does all the organising, who carries all the lists of all the things that need doing in their heads, this is an opportunity to say to whoever else is around you, you need to step up. I need your help right now. And I know a lot of us who are business owners are not very good at asking for help. We're very self-sufficient and we don't ask for help very easily. But this is a time to ask people around you to step up and do things and you can just lay it out. I'm going through a really stressful period. I'm feeling like I'm letting myself down. I'm letting other people down. I really need some help. And that's what you do. And we don't beat ourselves up about going to the gym. We don't think, oh, I need to, carve out the time for a gym session and get up at 5 a.m. Honestly, your body would probably be better off taking the extra sleep than it would going and pummeling it in the gym, because that stress, that's more stress on your body, that's cortisol on your body. And yes, we all want to be healthy. And yes, obviously it's really important we look after our bodies long term. But in this period where you're burned out, you're going to not beat yourself up for not doing those things. You're going to ask for help. You're going to delegate out whatever you can in your household. You're going to not think about clothes and give yourself a uniform. And you're going to make sure you've got food that's easily accessible and reasonably nutritious around you, that's easy to access and doesn't involve you spending an hour and a half cooking every day. And that's what we're going to do. And it's for a short period of time. And this is very much a sticking plaster. But we are just going to get through this. And after that, when we're feeling less burned out, we're going to look at some strategies about taking breaks and setting ourselves up for success by booking blocks of holidays and time without email and all that sort of stuff. But right now, if you are in the middle of burnout, you need to make the things outside of your working world so easy that they're not taking more energy from you. And that is how I am going to deal with my impending burnout. So let me know what works for you. Please do share tips in the comments, and I look forward to hearing from you all.